Hi, my name is Dr. Chaudhary and I'm the founder of Dr. Peace Lily. I'm a pharmacist by background. I started my company in 2019, so that was several years ago. And when I started my company back then compared to right now, 2023, the landscape of CBD has dramatically changed. And it's actually much easier right now to start a company. So today, I'm gonna go over 7 things that you guys need to do if you wanna start a CBD company and share with you guys my own journey and experience, mistakes I've made, what went right, and what didn't go right. So let's get started. So when it comes to starting any business, picking a name is really, really important. And that was honestly the hardest thing for me. You know, I wanted a name that would resemble or describe how I felt when I took CBD. And so one of the exercises that I did when coming up with the name is I got a notebook and I wrote down all of the feelings that I had when I took CBD. And one of the words that I wrote down on a piece of paper was peace. And so I was like, I would love to have a name that has peace in it because CBD has brought so much peace into my life. And so one day I was just brainstorming names with one of my girlfriends and she's like, hey, you love houseplants. So let's just like start naming houseplants and let's start naming gemstones and just see if anything sticks. And so when we were going down the list of houseplants, one of the names that came up was Peace Lily, the plant. And I fell in love with that name because it had the word peace in it. And that was one of the words that I had originally wrote down in my notebook. So I knew right then and there I wanted to name my business Dr. Peace Lily. So when I decided on that name, I did double check to make sure that the domain was available because you know you want to start a website. So you want to make sure that is available. So definitely do that, whatever name you decide. And it was available for me. But one mistake that I made is that I didn't check to see if that name was available on social media. And so that's why when you go on my Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, it's still Dr. Peace Lily, but I had to put a dot in there. So I had to make it Dr.Peace Lily. And I wish that dot wasn't there because on my website and the URL is just Dr. Peace Lily, Peacelily. And so that's just the one tip I would recommend. Make sure it's available everywhere. Now, the second thing that I would recommend for you guys, and I have my notes right here, by the way, is that for you to figure out how to set up your business entity, right? You want this to be a legitimate business. You want to scale it. You want to grow it. So make sure you protect yourself and separate your personal assets from your business. And so the simplest thing you can do is set up an LLC. Depending on your business, if you have partners, if you want to have investors, you can do an S Corp or a C Corp. Like there's so many different things you can do. The easiest thing is an LLC, especially if you're a sole owner like I am. I own 100% of Dr. Peace Lily. I'm the only one running it. And the LLC took me maybe 10 minutes to set up. It was so easy. If you guys have any questions or need help setting up your LLC, you know, leave me a comment below and I can definitely try to help you if I'm able to. The third thing that you should do is set up a business bank account and figure out a payment processor. So right now, like I said, in 2023, it's so much easier to find a payment processor that will accept CBD business. But when I started my business in 2019, that was years ago, there was hardly any payment processors that were willing to handle CBD businesses or CBD payment processing. And so that was really frustrating for me at the time. But right now you have so many different options. Just be, you know, truthful with your payment processor. You don't want to hide or lie to them about what kind of business you're in. Now, in terms of business bank accounts, again, it's much easier to do it right now. So just, you can start off with your local bank, whichever bank you use, and ask them like, hey, are you okay with my CBD business? If not, you can try like credit unions, and I'm sure, like I said, it's so much easier to find a bank account right now compared to back in the day, but you definitely want to separate all of your like transactions and all of your assets from your business to your personal. You don't want to mix it because during tax season, it's going to be a nightmare. The next thing that you want to do, which is number 4, is figure out what platform you want to build your website on. So again, in 2019, when I started, Shopify did not allow CBD businesses, and so I had to do WordPress. And so for anyone that's not familiar with how to build a website or the different platforms, your top 2 would be WordPress and Shopify. Nowadays, Shopify does allow you to have a CBD business. You do have to like provide paperwork and show them documentation of your lab report, just to make sure that there's no THC in it and all of that. So there are extra hoops to jump through when it comes to Shopify nowadays. But the reason why I have stuck to WordPress and why I'm not gonna personally switch to Shopify is that with WordPress, you're able to customize it a lot more than Shopify. And so there are a lot of features, a lot of customizations that you can do that you just cannot do with Shopify. And so for those reasons, I'm going to stick with my WordPress. The other advice that I had for you guys when starting a website that I didn't do and I wish I did is to work with someone who has expertise in SEO. SEO is search engine optimization, and get their help into incorporating SEO on all my pages and titles and all of that as I built my website, which I did not do. I really regret it because it would have helped set up my business for success from day one versus going back retrospectively and doing all of the SEO after I built my website. So definitely do that. Also, in terms of building your website, you can easily buy themes and like templates that are less than $100. And if you're kind of savvy, you can kind of play around with it, build your own website, or you can just hire someone to do it. And in terms of building a website, I know some people were giving me quotes like $6,000, $10,000. You guys do not spend this much money on a website, especially when you're just starting a business and you're trying to figure out if this is viable, if it's going to succeed, if you're going to end up doing it long term. So definitely try to do it yourself or hire someone virtually from another country that would charge, much less, like $500 or $1,000 compared to $10,000. So tip number 5 is to figure out your logo, figure out your branding. So you want to, make a logo, you want to figure out your color palette, you want to figure out in terms of font, right? So you want to create a brand guide. And when it comes to creating a logo, all of that, it's so much easier right now because Canva is much more advanced and they have so many cool features that Canva has right now versus 2019. So if you buy the pro version of Canva, you can have a brand guide in there where you can insert all of your colors, all of your font, which makes it really easy. But when it comes to logo creation, you can either hire like a freelancer, someone to create that for you, or what you could do is go online like I did to Fiverr.com or Upwork and hire a freelancer there, which is much cheaper than, maybe a freelancer in your area that you find on Indeed. So what I did is I went on those websites like Fiverr and I actually hired 3 different freelancers to help me come up with the logo, and I gave them all the same vision and I wanted to see what they would come up with based on all the ideas and like how I described how I envisioned my logo to look. And so one of them came back and he showed me, what he created, and I just fell in love with it, and so I went with it and it was just amazing. So I loved my experience, but definitely hire a few people because sometimes the people on Fiverr, they might not get your vision, so you might have to just go through a few different people to find someone that will. So number 6 is to, then figure out which farm you want to manufacture with, which farm you want to partner with, and which manufacturer you want to work with, right? So with Dr. Peace Lily, I took so much due diligence and research and work into finding the perfect farms to partner with, to find the perfect manufacturer. And I was really involved because I knew that when it came to extracting the CBD from the plant, when it came to manufacturing it, formulating it, being a pharmacist, I wanted to be hands-on. And so you want to do your research. That's super important. Always request to have a tour of like the manufacturing site or the farms, because you want to make sure like, do they stand behind safety, integrity? How is their standards, right? Like, Do they operate in a very professional manner? So definitely set up that tour if you can, and it'll help answer those questions. But something else that I can definitely tell you guys is that at Dr. Peace Lily, we do have a side of the business that does just wholesale accounts. And so we do sell a lot of our products to other retailers. So if you already have a retail location and you just want to carry CBD products, you can definitely send us a message and figure out if it's a good idea for you to just purchase our products at wholesale and sell it. Something else that I do offer is to work with other smaller brands and help you come up and formulate CBD products yourself that are, specifically made for your brand. But I can help you with all of the partnerships that I have with my manufacturers, and then you can create your own line with your own label and logo and branding and all of that. So definitely reach out if you are interested. The last tip is to figure out your go-to-market strategy, right? So now you have this website, now you have your product, now you are legally set up and you have your business bank account, but you need to sell, right? Because that's the main thing of owning a business. You want to sell your products, you want to grow as a business, you want to get your brand out there. So you want to be really detailed and intentional about what you're going to do to get your brand out there. Of course, social media is so important, and that's how I got my first 100 customers. So you want to really think like, how are you going to get your first 100 customers? How are you going to get your first 1,000 customers? How are you going to do this? And so you want to come up with a really good strategy to set yourself up for success. So those were all of my tips. I hope they were helpful. If you guys have any questions, just comment below, or you can reach out to me on my social media or on my website. I love helping other entrepreneurs because I know how it was when I started this company all by myself. So if I can be of a resource to you, I will gladly help you out.